My name is Alex Turner, and today I'm sharing a story that reshaped my life, a tale that began on a fateful evening I'll never forget. It was a chilly September evening, the kind where the world outside feels too fast while you're stuck in a moment of despair. I sat in the living room of my childhood home, the familiar aroma of my mother's famous lasagna wafting through the air. My father, Charles Turner, a man whose expectations loomed larger than life, walked in with a grim expression that sent a shiver down my spine. "Alex," he said, his voice firm and unyielding, "we need to talk." My heart raced, and I could feel the weight of impending doom pressing down on me. I had just finished my latest coding project, a video game I had poured countless hours into, and I was eager to share my excitement with him. But as I looked into his eyes, I knew my enthusiasm wouldn't matter. He sat down, flanked by my sister, Emma, a successful lawyer whose confidence radiated like a spotlight. "I've made a decision about the family trust fund," he announced, his gaze piercing through me like an arrow. "I'm signing it over to Emma. She's a lawyer, and you," he hesitated, searching for words that cut deeper than any knife. "You're just playing with your computers in this apartment." The air in the room became thick with tension. I wanted to scream, to argue, to defend myself, but the words died in my throat. I felt like a ghost in my own life. I glanced at Emma, who looked up from her phone, her expression a mix of triumph and pity. "Maybe you should focus on finding a real job," she said, her voice dripping with condescension. That night, I went to bed feeling crushed. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, my father's words echoing in my mind. Disappointment. They became my constant companions, haunting me at every turn. 3 years passed, each one a battle against my own self-doubt and the shadows of my family's expectations. I buried myself in coding, spending countless hours in my tiny apartment, surrounded by empty pizza boxes and energy drink cans that littered my desk like trophies from a war I was fighting alone. My friends had long stopped calling. They had grown tired of my excuses. I was too engrossed in my passion to care. I remember one particularly bleak winter night, my fingers frozen from typing, staring blankly at the screen. After months of hard work, I launched my first game, a simple platformer. I was filled with hope, but when I hit publish, the game was met with a resounding silence. The downloads trickled in at a snail's pace, and the reviews were overwhelmingly negative. "Boring, too simplistic, not worth my time," they said. Each comment felt like a dagger, and the weight of failure pressed down on me. But I refused to give up. I took the criticisms to heart and began to iterate. I revamped the graphics, improved the gameplay, and even added a storyline. I spent sleepless nights coding and testing, fueled by a mix of caffeine and determination. Finally, I re-released the game, but once again, it fell flat. Each failure was a bruise to my ego, but I learned valuable lessons along the way. I connected with other indie developers online, joined forums, and sought feedback. Slowly, I began to understand what players wanted. My third attempt, a puzzle adventure game called Mystic Realm, began to gain traction. It was a modest hit, and while it didn't make me rich, it gave me hope. With newfound confidence, I decided to take a leap of faith. I registered my own company, Turner Games, in a small, cramped co-working space. It was just me, a laptop, and a dream. I poured everything I had into the business, working late into the night, often forgoing meals. I learned the ins and outs of running a company, from budgeting to marketing. One day, as I was working on my next project, I received an email that changed everything. A prominent tech company, InnovateX, wanted to invest in my startup. They had seen potential and were interested in helping me scale my vision. I couldn't believe it. This was the opportunity I had been waiting for. With their investment, I was able to hire a small team of talented developers and artists. We began working on a new game, a sprawling open-world adventure that I envisioned would captivate players. The atmosphere in the office was electric. We brainstormed ideas, shared laughs, and worked late into the night, driven by a shared passion. As the month went by, our game, titled Legends of Known or Unknown, began to take shape. We polished the graphics, refined the mechanics, and crafted an engaging storyline that drew players in. I felt a sense of pride as I watched my team thrive, each member contributing their unique skills. When our new game was finally released, it took the gaming community by storm. Players loved the immersive world, the rich storytelling, and the engaging gameplay. Reviews flooded in, praising our hard work. It quickly climbed the charts, becoming one of the top-selling games of the year. With the success, my company began to grow rapidly. We expanded our team, moved into a larger office space, and even started to develop new projects. I felt like I was living a dream, but amidst the whirlwind of success, I made a decision that marked a new chapter in my life. I left my parents' house. Moving into my own apartment felt liberating. I decorated it with posters of my favorite games and set up a dedicated workspace. I finally felt like I was carving my own path, free from the shadows of my past. I called my parents to share the news, and while there was a hint of concern in their voices, I could sense a growing respect for what I had accomplished. As Turner Games continued to thrive, we launched more titles, each one building on our reputation for quality. The team grew, filled with passionate individuals who shared my vision. I made it a point to foster a positive company culture, encouraging creativity and collaboration. We landed partnerships with major gaming platforms, and I even began attending industry conferences. Each event was a new opportunity to showcase our work, network with other developers, and gain insight into the ever-evolving landscape of gaming. I remember standing at a booth, nervously presenting our latest project to a crowd of eager gamers and industry professionals. The thrill of sharing my passion was intoxicating, but with success came challenges. Managing a growing team and meeting deadlines became increasingly stressful. There were moments when I felt overwhelmed, questioning whether I could keep up with the demands. Yet, I reminded myself of my journey, the struggles, the failures, and the determination that had brought me this far. Months turned into years, and as Turner Games solidified its place in the industry, we made plans to go public. The prospect of an IPO was both exhilarating and terrifying. We hired financial advisors, worked on our pitch, and prepared for the scrutiny that would come with being a publicly traded company. Finally, the day arrived for our IPO ceremony, a culmination of years of hard work and dedication. The atmosphere was electric, filled with excitement and anticipation. I wore a tailored suit, a stark contrast to the hoodies and jeans that had become my uniform. As I walked through the venue, the lights shining brightly, I felt the weight of my family's expectations hovering above me. I spotted my parents in the crowd, and my heart raced. My father's face was a mixture of confusion and disbelief, while Emma looked as if she had just bitten into a sour lemon. I couldn't help but smile. This was my moment. As I took the stage, my heart hammered in my chest. I was finally standing up for myself, ready to share my story with the world. I delivered my speech, recounting the struggles, the late nights, and the self-doubt. I spoke about the importance of passion and resilience, emphasizing how failure had driven me to succeed. When it was time to ring the bell for the IPO, I stepped forward, adrenaline coursing through me. The sound echoed throughout the venue, and I felt elation wash over me. I had done it. I was on the verge of something monumental. As the celebration began, I was swarmed by reporters and investors, eager to congratulate me on my success. But amidst the chaos, I spotted my father making his way toward me. My heart raced. I braced myself for the confrontation I had long imagined. "Alex," he said, his voice softer than it had been 3 years ago, "I didn't think you could do it." I studied his face, searching for sincerity, my emotions swirling. "I did it for me, Dad, Not for you. Emma joined us, her expression shifting from skepticism to something resembling respect. Congratulations, Alex. I honestly didn't know you had it in you, she admitted, her tone surprisingly warm. I've always had it in me, I replied, feeling a surge of confidence. You just didn't see it. The realization washed over me. This was not just a victory for my career, it was a personal triumph. I had transformed my father's disappointment into motivation, taking the negativity and forging it into something powerful. In the days that followed, the news of my success spread like wildfire. My family began to take notice, not just of the financial aspect, but of the passion and dedication I had poured into my work. My father called more often, asking about my journey, his voice filled with an unexpected warmth. His inquiries were genuine, free of the judgment that had once colored our conversations. One evening, I invited my parents over for dinner. As we sat around the table, I could see the change in my father's demeanor. He looked at me with a mixture of pride and something I hadn't seen before, understanding. I'm proud of you, Alex, he said, his voice steady. You've worked hard, and it shows. I swallowed hard, trying to hold back my emotions. Thanks, Dad. It means a lot to hear that. Emma chimed in, I'd love to come by and see your games sometime. I'm really curious about it now. That simple gesture from her felt monumental. It was a sign of respect, an acknowledgement that I had carved my own path. As I sipped my drink, I realized that it wasn't just about proving them wrong. It was about finding my own path and embracing who I was. I had finally become who I was meant to be. Alex Turner, entrepreneur and innovator. I had transformed from the disappointment into someone they could be proud of. After the IPO, life took on a new rhythm. I had investors to manage, a team to lead, and a vision to chase. I felt a mix of excitement and anxiety as I navigated this uncharted territory. Each day brought new challenges, but I was ready. My team grew, filled with passionate individuals who shared my vision. We spent long hours brainstorming and coding, fueled by the shared dream of creating something extraordinary. I remember one late night, surrounded by my team, we finally solved a critical bug that had plagued us for weeks. The room erupted in cheers, and I felt a sense of camaraderie that I had long craved. But amidst the success, I found myself reflecting on the past. I reached out to my parents more frequently, sharing my journey and successes, hoping to bridge the gap that had once felt insurmountable. One weekend, I invited them to our office, excited to show them the world I had built. As they walked through the door, I could see the wonder in their eyes. This is amazing, Alex, my mother said, her voice filled with genuine admiration. I had no idea how big this had become. I introduced them to my team, and I could see my father's expression shift as he interacted with people who believed in my vision. The pride I felt that day was overwhelming. One quiet evening, I sat on my balcony, looking out over the city. The lights twinkled like stars, and I felt a sense of peace wash over me. I reflected on my journey, the struggles, the victories, and the lessons learned. I had grown not just as a developer, but as a person. I realized that the journey wasn't just about proving others wrong. It was about discovering who I was and embracing my passions. It was about resilience, finding strength in vulnerability, and allowing myself the space to grow. As I sipped my coffee, I felt a sense of gratitude for the challenges I had faced. They had shaped me into the person I was today, an entrepreneur who was unafraid to dream big and fight for what he believed in. I hope you enjoyed this story of transformation and resilience. Remember, it's not where you start, but where you choose to go that defines you. If you faced your own struggles, share your story in the comments. Until next time, keep believing in yourself.